the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is present in the brain, in the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord, and in all the other nerves which spread throughout the different parts of our body. So we find the nervous tissue in the brain, spinal cord, and in the nerves. Now this nervous tissue makes up the nervous system, and the nervous system of our body plays a very important role in different functions. It helps us to learn about our surroundings. It plays an important role in control and coordination of the whole system. Let us take an example of the eye. Now here we have two eyes which help us to see, and these eyes are connected to the brain by these nerves. These are called the optic nerves. These optic nerves connect the eye to the brain. So whatever messages our eye receives is then transmitted to the brain with the help of the optic nerve. So if your optic nerve were to be injured or damaged, even if your eyes are able to see, you cannot see because the messages are not carried to the brain. Another example is of the ear. We have 5 sense organs. All these 5 sense organs are connected to the brain. Now the ear again is connected to the brain here by a nerve called the auditory nerve. This auditory nerve carries all the messages from the ear to the brain. So the cells of these nervous tissue are highly specialized. They get stimulated, they pick up messages, and they transmit it. Means they carry these messages very rapidly to one part to another in the body. Most of these nerves, they either start from the brain to the different parts of the body, or from the spinal cord they spread to the different parts of the body. They connect the different parts of the body either to the spinal cord or directly to the brain. Now we have learnt that tissue is a collection of cells, and nervous tissue also is a collection of cells. The cells of the nervous tissue are called neurons or the nerve cells. Here is a picture of a neuron. In the next slide we'll learn the different parts of this neuron. So many of such cells or the nerve cells make up the nervous tissue. Here is another picture of a neuron attached to this muscle. All the contraction and relaxation of our muscles are controlled by our nerves. The message for the contraction or relaxation of the muscle enters through this part of the cell of the neuron. It then travels right through the axon or the nerve fiber, and then it is sent to the muscle. Now an individual neuron may be up to a meter long. So these are very long cells. To summarize again, we saw where the nervous tissue was found. It was found in the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It plays a very important role in our body. It collects messages, it collects the stimulus and carries it to the different parts of the body. Like we saw in the eye, it collects the messages from the eye and carries to the optic center in the brain. For the ear, it carries the messages from the ear and carries to the hearing center of the brain. And the cells of the nervous tissue are called neurons. These are very long cells. We'll now go to see the structure of the neuron. The neuron is made up of the cell body. This is called the cell body of the neuron. And this cell body has a nucleus and cytoplasm. Like you can see here, there's a nucleus here, and all this is the cytoplasm. So that makes up the cell body of the neuron. Now from this neuron we have two kinds of fibers arising. One of these thin branched fibers, and these are called the dendrites. They are thin, short and branched. So like we have seen, the dendrites, they are many in number, they are short, they are branched, and they bring in the messages. The messages enter into the nerve, into the neuron through the dendrites. They bring in messages to the neuron. Then we have the axon. It is a single, long, unbranched, and it is usually covered by this called the myelin sheet here. It is not continuous sheet. It's like this sheet. Maybe I should have drawn it in some other color. So here it's an interrupted sheet which covers the axon. It's a single unbranched, and the axon takes away messages away from the cell. So this was the axon. It's a single, long, unbranched hair-like which carries messages away from the cell. In the end here we have the nerve endings. These are hair-like structures which are connected to the next neuron. They're not directly connected, however, but that is the nerve endings, is the end of the axon. Now the axon is also covered by a myelin sheet, which I've already explained to you here. However, it's not given in your text, but here, if this is the axon in the middle, this is your axon here, and it is always covered by a myelin sheet. Interrupted myelin sheet. It's not continuous in this manner. The dendrites are not covered with the myelin sheet. It's only the axon that is covered with the myelin sheet. So these hair-like projections that arise from the cell body are of two types. You have one are the dendrites, which are short, branched and hair-like, and there are many in number, and we have the axon, which is single, long and unbranched. The messages come in through the dendrites, and it's the axon that carries the messages away from the cell. Here's a picture of a nerve. And the nerve, this is an entire nerve, and the nerve is made up of many nerve fibers. Many nerve fibers are put together by a connective tissue, and hence we get a nerve. Packed together by a connective tissue. So here many nerve fibers bound together by a connective tissue make up a nerve. So what does a nerve consist of? The nerve consists of these many nerve fibers bound together by a connective tissue.